a lot of the trainers behind the scenes and the guys that get the boxers ready for their fights. This week I'm in the iBOX gym. I'm joined by Al Smith. All right, Al?
How you doing, James?
All right, mate. Also joined by coach and trainer Eddie Lamb. What's happening, Ed?
All right, James.
I'm all right. I'm all right. So firstly and foremost, what I want to know is how did you guys get into boxing? I'll start with you, Al. What was your first experience?
I didn't box until my late teens. As a youngster, my dad tried to make me box and had a few gym shows in East London, but it just wasn't for me. I was a bit more of a quiet kid, and it didn't really appeal to me. Didn't like getting it, to be honest with you. And then around about 18, I think just about that age, I went to a gym at Marbles Lane, walked in the door, fell in love with kickboxing within a few months, and I was there right up to 2001. As a boxer, mostly as a trainer, as an amateur trainer, as a junior trainer.
Ed, if I can ask you the same question, how did you come into boxing training?
How did I come into boxing training?
Yeah.
I used to, when I packed up boxing, I used to box for the Fitzroy Lodge. I spent a few years helping out Mick Carney there, and then I helped out at Keddle's gym, helped them open up an amateur boxing club, and I met Al from there, and he used to train Sam there, and he asked me to go pro with him out. I thought about it a few times, and one thing, and I ended up going with Al.
We'd known each other for 20 years, since 1994, when I just started becoming an amateur trainer, and I think Ed was just finishing his amateur career. He was a tough amateur. He was always on the circuit. He was a popular kid. So I'd known Ed a long time, and he was making that transition. He was helping out the amateurs, and to share your gym and what you've built up it's hard to find the right person. So when he come along, and I wanted him to do it and offered him an opportunity, it's hard. He's not 25% of the gym. He's not 49% of the gym. He's 50% of the gym, which is a hard thing to find. And Dean Powell said to me, he's the perfect person, because it's very hard to have someone that you want to spend the rest of your career with. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a bond between both. So it's a good partnership.
What would you say has been your highlight of your boxing training career so far with the fighters you've worked with?
Do you know what I think? It's obviously I've been a pro nearly 14 years now, 13, 14 years, and you've had some great nights with Danny Hunt, who I was ever so close to, and one of probably the major fighters I first ever got. Ruben Grunewald was my first champion, and at the time the WBU seemed like a big title. We boxed on all the undercards, and he won a title there in front of 17,000, 18,000 people. But probably Gary Walkham and Sam Webb, really, because Gary Walkham I'd had since he was 10 years old, and he had 100 amateur fights and 32 pro fights. So that was a great time. And then Sam Webb, Ed was on board then, and he beat Anthony Small. And probably for me, Anthony Small was an incredible fighter. He was one that everyone said would go a long way. And he slightly fell short, and that for me was probably a great night.
We've got so many characters in the world of boxing, as we know, the trainers being a big part of that. What one story sticks in your mind regarding some of the lads? I'll bring you this one to you, Carl.
Yeah, do you know what? I've had some fantastic nights, and I'll probably say two, because obviously Ed was there. But the funniest one was recently. Adam Dingsdale is probably the thickest kid you could ever find. He's fighting Derry Matthews, and if he probably had any brains, he probably wouldn't go into the fight. Although I think he wins, but there was a big puncher. But his last fight against the champion, what was his name? Floyd Morse, sorry, Floyd. So, obviously we went to the weigh-in in Portsmouth, and I was going to come home. He was staying there, and he'd stayed with his girlfriend and with Ian Weaver. So, anyway, the next night I said, "You okay? You done anything right?" Anyway, I found out after the fight that, he was hungry after the weigh, and he doesn't struggle for weight. He went and bought 16 Krispy Kreme donuts, and he ate 12 of them. It was 18, not even 16. He ate 12 of them and felt sick. This is before the fight. So his girlfriend has gone out to get a packet of stomach tablets, because when she's got back, he's got cream all around his face. He'd ate the other 6. So before the fight, anyway, he ate 18 Krispy Kreme donuts. And that's a goddamn truth.
And that's why he underperformed.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah, so he's a bit dopey now.
That's absolutely incredible.
And that's a true story. So, when we go up to Liverpool, we're going to make sure that he eats no donuts.
Yeah, I'll keep him away from the donuts. What are your aspirations for the iBOX gym and some of the fighters that you've got? I know every lad's different, but what are your aspirations in general for the gym?
Do you know what, for the gym, it's a pleasure, but we both work. You know, I have my own company, Ed works for his family's company, so near enough 90% of my fighters work, you know, always except for Brad. So for me, it's an enjoyable experience, and to take a kid as far as he can go and not try to set his heights too far. You know, I believe that they've all got a certain level, and as long as they reach that level, I know we enjoy what we do, and you know, it's not for us to try to get a world champion. If one come along, it'd be great, but we both have families and, you know, our own jobs and that. So for us to take a kid as far as he can, and if he exceeds that, that's a bonus, you know. And as long as he comes out of the game with some money, some respect, biggest thing this gym has is respect. You know, no kids that are above themselves. I think that for me is and for Ed mostly, you know, that's the most important thing.
Ed, who do you enjoy working with most in the gym out of all the fighters you work with? What one fighter do you enjoy spending time with?
It'd be really unfair to pick one out. That's a bit unfair, but things that one of them is crazy, that's why. But I work fine with everyone. But Brad, I've been with since day one. We turned pro at the same time, so I've been in his corner 17 times. The only time I didn't win, I was with Johnny Garton's pro debut. So, you know, I've got closeness with Brad, but no, they're all fine. That, you know, I love them all the same.
All right, well, listen, you've got some big fights coming up. Bradley Skeet taking on Frankie Gavin on the 29th. Adam Dingsdale in Liverpool on the Liverpool show facing Derry Matthews. Yeah. Some great fights for the lads, and not forgetting Johnny Garton as well in action at the weekend. Yeah,
do you know what? I'll do John first, because he's the forgotten kid. He wanted to go into prize fighting, you know, and I didn't want to do it. Eddie didn't want him to do it. But, you know, he's a man, 26 years old, and he wanted his thing. And, you know, Sam Egerton's a good kid, and, you know, the person you didn't want to draw is Sam Egerton, you know. He's tough, he's rough. But, you know, Johnny, he throws under the lights. He's one of the small hall shows, and, you know, he's with Steve Goodwin. For me, he's the best small hall promoter, and we'll make it. And he's one of the nicest guys in boxing. So he throws under the lights. Not saying he's going to beat Sam Egerton. He's a good kid. But he just froze. And I chucked the towel in. He broke his ankle. He tripped and broke his ankle. He wasn't winning. And there's no point, you know, taking that out. So, do you know what I think with John? I mean, and now you get Ahmet Patterson has moved on. He's a great kid as well, you know, behind Brad and, you know, only just behind him. You know, he's a great kid, but he's now moving on. It frees up the southern area. You know, he can move on to there. And I'm sure that Ahmet will move on once Brad wins. And then, you know, he moves into slot. And if he goes that far, you know, I think he can rebuild his career. He's tough enough and he's durable enough to move on.
Looking at that prize fight, I think it was a case of sometimes saving a fighter from themselves, you know. In his own head, he's not going to put out, he's not going to quit.
Yeah.
When
well, that's what he pays us for, isn't it? You know, you can be a brave trainer. I left a fighter in there once too long myself because, you know, you think, oh, he's going to turn it around. And in hindsight, it's experience. And the last thing you want is a kid hurt or injured. You know, because that's what your trainer has a job to do. And I think that's the hardest thing to do. But, you know, in a 3-round fight, if he's already taken a pace in the first round and a half, and it's just experience jumped on. Sam had done it the year before. I don't know if he got stopped or whatever, but he'd experienced that, so he was already there and he knew what to expect on that big occasion.
How confident are you that Bradley Skeet does a job on Frankie Gavin?
No, he wins. Listen, Frankie Gavin is a fantastic fighter, give a doubt, but he's only a fighter. No disrespect, he's a brilliant, brilliant fighter. But he hasn't beat anyone as a pro, not one single kid that Brad wouldn't beat. As an amateur, you know, you can't even talk about in the same links as most of the other kids. But the kids he's beat have been good, you know. But he's beat David Barnes, he's beat Junior Witt, slightly past his best. He's beat Curtis Wood. That's all them kids Brad beat. He got beat by Bondu, whether he thought he won or not, against a great kid. But, you know, for me, Brad's all wrong for Frankie Gavin. All wrong for him. It's a tough fight.
Styles make fights.
Styles make fights. You know, and Brad ate the kid 6 months ago. We knew this was going to happen a year ago. So each week we've had a southpaw sparring. You know, even if it's only footwork and technical sparring with, you know, people like Ian Weaver, slightly similar style, clever, tricky, same type of moves. And we've got Sam Webb, who was an incredible technician. So he's been watching him, mimicking him, spending up with time with him. The best Bradley Skeet turns up, he wins, without a doubt. You know, he's coming off a loss. He's going to have a 4-rounder against a Hungarian and a warm-up no harder than what Brad had against Steve. You know, but Brad's on a roll, and momentum plays a lot in boxing.
Of course.
You know? And it's hard to beat a kid that really wants it that bad. No, Frankie Gavin is stepping down, without a doubt. You know, he's not stepping up, he's stepping down. And when you step down, you can be at a level too long. He should have give up and moved on.
All right. Can you talk me through your average day with the lads in the gym? What you would do, where you would start? If that's all right.
Yeah.
What's every day?
Well, Ed gets here late. That's the first.
No
So
way, you're
Ed-
always
half
late,
hour late, Ed.
Yeah, when I get here, they're skipping. And then they want to skip 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and then they, the shadow box, how many rounds they're fighting, 6 to 10, and then if it's a sparring night, they spar. If not, it's bags, pad work, and do their exercise in the end. And if they haven't run in the morning, we go for a little run late at night.
Sounds like it's quite a good routine you guys have got.
Do you know what boxing isn't a science? Do you know what I mean? You know, except for the nutrition, the thing. But boxing's, you know, what it's always been. It's all the ABC, abilities, breaks, and courage. You've got A and C, but you need B. And you know, like Brad, he's had his breaks. Like Lewis, he's been given his break. And you've got to take that because you only get one chance. A roughly good fighter gets 7 to 8 years. You know, so half of them are halfway there. Last year I said, look, you're all in juniors. Now you're in the senior school. Somebody's going to fail, somebody's going to go, but you've got to be tested. And you know, I'm the biggest one. We both are. I'd mother them and give them Peter Buckley 100 times at 10 grand a fight. You know, but that just isn't the way it is it? Do you know what I mean? And when Frank sat us down and spoke and we did it, you know. So when I turned around and said, yeah, we'll have it. You know, I'm 150% confident. Yeah.
Between the iBOX gym and the other gyms in the surrounding area, or even right across the country.
Do you know what? There's a few gyms that probably have the same type of concept we have. The iBOX gym is, and the gym is a family, and we all socially are friends, and you know, and wives, girlfriends. We do everything together, you know. And when we walk out to the ring, you know, Joe Gallagher's ever so similar to us. You know, Johnny Eames is a little bit like that as well, and it's hard to beat a team, you know. When you all believe in each other, you all want each other to win. When one loses, which is, you know, not that often in our team, the whole team feel it. So when you're together, when you're in that ring, and you may be on your own, but your whole team pushing for you, it's an incredible feeling. You know, you don't come to gym. It's an isolated sport. It's you know, it's something that Dean obviously really thought a lot about as well. Do you know what I mean? And Ed coming from Mick Carney, who was probably, you know, great, and they both had the same type of as a
Apprenticeship.
yeah, and they both thought the same as us, like, you know, what we want to do, you know. Ed will have him around his house, his kids come to the gym. Ed runs a kids club on a Monday called the iBOX Juniors.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Well done, Ed.
Yeah.
Well done, Ed. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and it's not for kids to box, it's the kids to get them in the gym, and it's he has 9 or 10 of them. I come in this week and they were running rings around here, he's too nice. But yeah, so he does a kids
That was
club.
bigger than me.
Yeah. That's not hard. So, you know, it's about trying to get the community together and everything else, you know, just there's other gyms that have done it, but for us, it's a family, you know, it's something different. It's real hard to beat a unit. You know, the army do it, everyone said, you do it as a team. You know, when you're on there on your own, you feel like you've got your team with you. You know, for Frankie Gavin, you know, like I say, you know, got nothing but respect as a fighter. But when he comes to London, you know, he's going to have 1,000 people just between Lewis and Bradley's fans, and that's without everyone screaming, plus the whole of the team. That's going to be a daunting effect for a British champion, to be like the visitor.
All right, well, listen, I think you're doing a cracking job with the iBOX. Don't want to shine your head too much, as I said. Keep up the good work you're doing. Keep up the good work you're both doing. As I said, I think you're doing a cracking job with fighters, and I appreciate you giving the Cassies and Helder Show a bit of time.
Thank you, James.
Thank you,
Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
My man.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you